All right, in this video, I'm going to go over how you can use the notes that you've created for your school uniform to help you quickly and easily write a paper. So we're going to take this information and turn it into a paper, and I want you to use the step up to writing colors. Okay, green means go, but we're going to start with our title. So our title for everyone, and I'm going to change I'm going to center my title, and it's just school uniforms. That's the title. I'm going to go back to left justification. I'm going to tab once, and I'm going to start with my green. So I'm going to change my coloring to green font, and I'm just going to use that my claim. And I can start with something like, in my opinion, school uniforms are good for education. Okay. Now I'm going to go into my first key idea, the bullying and peer pressure. So I'm going to change my font color to a yellow. I'm going to do a darker yellow so you can see. And I can just start it off with, one way that school uniforms are good for education is that they prevent bullying and peer pressure. So notice, I didn't just copy the words, I didn't just write bullying and peer pressure, because that alone by itself is not a sentence. But I used that key idea to write my sentence. One way that school uniforms are good for education is that they prevent bullying and peer pressure. Okay. Now I need to support that key idea with some of these details. So I'm going to change to red now. This is where I stop, slow down, and add some details. This is the meat of my paper. So now I can start using these notes to come up with some additional sentences. Okay, I'm going to pause the video and jump back after I've done some more writing. All right, so you can see I jumped ahead. I've added all my details for my first key idea, and you'll notice I added some other things as well. I didn't just copy these things down. I made them into cohesive sentences. So I started with, school can be an intimidating place to be. So you'll notice you don't find those words anywhere in my notes, but I know I need to begin my writing with some kind of introduction to this. So I don't just start copying in, if everyone wears the same thing, it eliminates teasing. But I make it a readable paper. Okay, school can be an intimidating place to be. You have to not only focus on schoolwork, but how you are fitting in socially as well. So again, you don't see any of those words yet in my notes. These are just things I added to make my paper more readable. Okay, and then kids can be cruel to one another. Picking out what is the right fashion at the time should be the last thing on a kid's mind when going to school. If everyone wears a school uniform, that eliminates teasing of clothing and give kids one less thing to worry about. So you can see there I've added my first detail from my notes and included it in my writing. And then I go on to say, in fact, one study showed that 86% of school leaders believe uniforms reduces peer pressure. So again, now I've included another supporting detail from my notes, but I've done it in the flow of the paragraph. Okay, I don't just copy it down exactly how it's written. And you'll notice I didn't even end up using the acronym for the group. I decided to just leave it out, and that's okay too. Okay, continuing. This is one less stressor for students. Also, if everyone is wearing the same thing, those kids who don't always feel included can feel like they are a part of something, like they belong. And then there's my last key idea detail. But again, I didn't just copy it down, but I used that information to help me write this paragraph. So now I'm done with this paragraph. So I'm going to hit enter a couple times, tab in, And now I'm ready for my next key idea, which is going to be yellow. I'm going to use a dark yellow again. And attendance and discipline. So I'm going to say school uniforms can improve attendance and help with discipline as well. So again, I didn't just write attendance and discipline, but I used that to start off my new paragraph. And now I'm going to include my details and add some more support to that key idea. All right, I'm going to do some more writing and then I'll continue with the video. All right, so you can see now that I've gone through and I've included my details to my second paragraph here. I'm going to make the letters a little bigger just so you can see them a little better in the video. So let's go down to my second paragraph. So here's my key idea from my notes, attendance and discipline, and then the sentence that I turned those notes into were school uniforms can improve attendance and help with discipline as well. And then I go into my meat, my details. Learning takes time, and one of the biggest wasters of time at school is dealing with discipline issues. So again, haven't actually used any of the information from my notes yet, but I want to make a readable, cohesive paragraph. School uniforms can help cut down the number of discipline issues that a school has to deal with. For example, one school found that the number of referrals dropped from over 1,000 to just above 400 after school uniforms were implemented. So again, you see here, I decided to use this detail first, even though it was listed last in my notes, and that's perfectly okay. I can move things around. The notes are my guide, okay? They're just my guide. I'm not copying word for word from my notes. These are my guide to help me write my paper. So I decided it made the most sense to use this one first, so that's what I did. Okay, and again, I didn't just copy down exactly what I had written in my notes, because what I had copied down doesn't work in the context of my the flow of my paper, but I used the information from my notes. Okay. Another thing that cuts down on class time is tardiness and absenteeism. Picking out what to wear is one culprit that can make people late. School uniforms is a solution to this problem. One study on the subject showed that school uniforms reduced absenteeism in girls by 7%. So you can see I've now used another one of my notes that I've taken, but I had some other sentences in there to set up me using those notes. I didn't just copy them in without any preceding sentences to set up that information. Then I go on to say, without the need to sift through your closet every morning, tardiness and absenteeism can be reduced, which should improve educational outcomes. And behavior problems were improved. That kind of goes along with all of what I've said. So I didn't have to write this particular note out again because it's included in the text of my paragraph. Okay. Now I hit enter a couple times. I hit tab to indent. And now I'm on to my last key idea. So I want to go dark yellow again. And this is saves money, but I don't want to just copy down the words saves money. I want to put it in a sentence. So I can say something like, finally, school uniforms can also save families money. Okay, there's my key idea. I switch back to red for my details, and now I'm going to work these details into my last paragraph. And I will pause the video. I'm going to work these details in, and then I'll come back after I'm finished putting in those details. All right, so you can see I'm now finished or almost finished with my last paragraph. I have my key idea about saving money. Finally, school uniforms can save families money. Notice again, I don't just copy the words down. Okay, this is my guide. The notes are my guide. Then I go on to say these are my details. Even though public school is technically free, there are many expenses that go along with sending a student to school. Again, notice that is not anywhere in my notes. That's just setting my notes up so I have a cohesive and readable paragraph. Okay. School supplies, lunches, and clothes are just a few of the many expenses. School uniforms can help cut the cost for families that it takes to send a kid to school. School uniforms cost as little as $45, and students can get by with as little as 2 sets. So again, notice now I've used some information from my notes, but I didn't just copy my notes word for word. Okay. One study found that this is about $40 less than the cost of clothes that are worn outside of school. So again, here's where I've used some of my notes to help guide my writing, but I didn't just copy my notes word for word. This can be a big relief for parents on a budget. Parents also want their kids to have the best. Without school uniforms, this can put pressure on parents to try to keep up with the latest fashions. School uniforms completely relieves parents of this pressure. They can rest assured that their kid will be wearing the same clothes as everyone else. Okay, now I need my closing paragraph, and this is where I go back to my claim. So I'm going to go back to my green typing, and I'm just going to restate my claim, but I don't want to use the exact same words. So I can say something like, as you can see, school uniforms are help improve education. Okay, let me go back and double check. Yeah, so I've said basically the same thing that I said in my first sentence, but I just put it in different words now. And now that's back to green because at the end I want to remind my readers of exactly what I'm trying to convince them of. Okay. All right, thanks for watching, and I will see you on the next one.